commodities. Now let's just get a check-in on the equities markets and see in Africa, top equities markets in Africa, the major, the big fours we always look at. We look at Nigeria, Egypt, South Africa, and Kenya. We see Egypt, the Nigerian NGX, up today at intraday 0.12%. That's rebounding from yesterday's loss. It's now 147,122.81. But we're going to be talking to Kayode Esseyin. He is investment associate, Cardinal Stone Securities. He's going to be telling us what's driving the move there. Good afternoon, Kayode. It's good to have you on the show.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much for having me.
Kayode, the ASI, the all-share index is up 0.12% at intraday. What are the stocks driving this positive momentum as we speak?
I think currently what we are seeing in the market is investors who have been, in a manner of speaking, scared away as a result of the announcement or the implementation of the expected implementation rather of the earlier announced capital gains tax, as well as those who were a bit concerned about security worries that were mentioned by Mr. Trump, starting to return to the market. On the one hand, what we have seen in terms of securities is looking like a consensus has been reached. For one, we recall that the NSA recently announced that he was on a trip to the United States where he met with Mr. Hexet, and they had productive discussions, and that seems to have led to at least some agreements on supports regarding fighting terrorism in Nigeria. And then also the fact that Mr. Taiwo Oyedele also announced that there will be some grandfathering clause as regards investment in the equities market. I think those two things just essentially were laid in investor fears, leading to a return of appetite for local Nigerian equities. And that was what we have seen starting from say November and even some part of December.
Let's look at what's happening there. Banking sector was the best performing at intraday. Yesterday it didn't perform so well. It has gained about 56 basis points at intraday, rebounding from yesterday's loss. That was because we saw buy interest in GTCO, Zenith Bank, but not a lot for Access Holdings. What's going on in that for Access Holdings?
Okay, so for the banking tickers overall, I think one of the things that's driving appetite in that space, and I'll speak overall for the sector before I dovetail in a bit into Access, is the fact that following the recently concluded capital raise that the CBN basically ordered these banks to undergo, what we are seeing is the expectation, and especially when you also factor the recent recovery in the economy, what we are seeing is that the expectation now is going to 2026. And even beyond that is that we might see some very serious asset creation in terms of loan books of these banks going into next year. And so markets are looking at, market participants rather, are looking at banks with potential to drive this asset creation, who are likely also to benefit from the improved economic and even the base effect in terms of some of the impairments or that the forbearance that they were forced to take sometime in the year. So it's looking like going into next year, banks are likely to do well, particularly those who have been able to come out and essentially get themselves out of these regulatory forbearance issues and have a very more robust balance sheet. So we expect games like GTCO and Zenith in particular to do significantly well next year, and that's what market participants are pricing in currently. So for Access, right, what we have seen is, I mean, especially following recent announcement, right, that they are still in the process of trying to, or they recently concluded a private placement, trying to raise capital, additional capital, even following the earlier capital raise, right? So it looks like there's still some uncertainty there as to what exactly is going on in that space. But the moment those uncertainties are cleared, we expect market participants would also start to smile, especially if you look at the fact that Access Bank looks to be the bank with the largest balance sheet in Nigeria, right? So people are just waiting for these uncertainties to clear out before they take positions in these names.
Okay, so while do you see the markets closing today? Yesterday at intraday it was in positive territory, but surprise, surprise, we saw it closing negative. So what are we looking at the close of business?
So I think the trend will likely continue, especially because we have, maybe I should have started with the fact that I don't have a crystal ball. But I mean, going by what we've seen so far, well, we can say it's quarter to close already, unless there is, let's say, an extreme tail event at the close of market. We think market is likely to sit firmly and close positive in the day. I mean, I think the interest we saw in these banking names, like you mentioned, and even several other bellwethers like MTN and Co are likely also to continue, not just today, into the remaining parts of the year, as market participants position again ahead of dividend resumption in several of the FMCG names, as well as just basically improving macro's impact on purchasing power and consumer wallets overall. So I think, yeah, for today, I think market will likely close positive. To answer your question.
Before I let you go, Kayode, what stocks do you think investors should trade or fade?
Trade or what?
Or fade. Should they trade or should
fade.
they sell?
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay. So, topic, I've been preaching the gospel of MTN since the start of the year. And even though the stock is close to 100% up on a year-to-date basis, I still think that MTN is set to have another fantastic, Q4 2025 and even 2026. I think the issues, particularly the FX losses, which drag the company's balance sheet, has become a thing of the past, and the company has also positioned itself to perform significantly better. So MTN is one of my top picks, and then I also like the bank, GTCO and Zenith. If they're able to deliver on this asset creation I mentioned, if they're able to grow their loan book into the current year, benefit from the base effect I also mentioned, I think those stocks are likely to do well. Aradel is also one of my favorite. I think in terms of the aggressive expansion plans that the company has undergone and the fact that they still look to be wanting to do more, I think there is potential significant upside in their names. And then in the FMCG space, we have the Nestle's, the Nigerian breweries, and the Guinness. The brewers in particular are also likely to do well as purchasing power improves, which has a second order impact on improvement in purchasing power, is second order impact on brewer, on alcohol and recreational activities demand. So those names for now, I think those are my top pick going into 2026.
Fantastic. We'll take that as the icing on the cake. Kayode Esheyi, Investment Associate with Cardinal Stone Securities. Thank you for joining us on Business Incorporated.
Thank you.